Hi there, my name's Tim Johnson. When I was using drink and drugs, I was in this sort of depraved reality where I was actually violating my standards quicker than I could lower them. This reality was dark and I saw no way out of it. It was like a bottomless pit, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate to that. Misery attracts misery. I didn't care about anything or anyone. I didn't care about myself. All I cared about was getting money and to get to use to stay well, basically. I didn't care about other people, what was going on. I didn't care about the ones I loved. All I cared about was trying to make myself comfortable that day. I didn't take care of my appearance. I had no dignity, no self-respect. So it was just insanity. And as probably you know, Einstein once defined insanity as repeating the same behavior over and over again and expecting to get a different result. And that was my life for over 30 years. And it led me down some dark avenues. So I knew that when I got sober, that one of the main things I had to change was my thinking. And that is one of the for all of us. And those first 6 months after going through withdrawal and getting sober, it's very hard to do that. You're still to a certain extent dragged down into those dark corners and those dark places where your thinking is negative. So I knew I had to change that, and I did quite a lot of research on it into something called neuroplasticity, which is a science of changing the pathways in your brain. It is an actual science, a neuroscience, where you can rebuild those pathways. I've talked about it before, where negative associations eventually will become positive and your thinking will jump to the positive instead of the negative. It takes a lot of hard work and effort. And Einstein, again, I'll use Einstein as an example again, because he once said that the energy that you put out into, he doesn't want to call it into the universe. I'm not trying to be woo-woo or anything like that. He said this: the energy that you put out will attract the same energy back. And he said that that's not a religious thing or a spiritual thing. He said that's physics. And that's absolute fact. That energy you put out, you will attract back. So to quote someone else, Dr. Wayne Dyer, this was something I didn't really understand it when the first time I heard it, but he once said, if you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. And I didn't really understand that until I started to try and change the way I thought about things, because I was always, as I say, misery attracts misery when you're in addiction. You really do. It gets darker and darker. You see no light at all. The trick into changing that is to start trying to see the positive in everything. And there's a definition of an optimist and a pessimist. And an optimist is someone who sees the opportunity in every difficulty, and a pessimist is someone who sees the difficulty in every opportunity. And that's really difficult to change that thinking. It sounds quite glib to say it quickly like that, but it's bloody hard work to change that way of thinking when that's been your way of life for so many years. But slowly but surely you can train your brain. There's two ways of doing it, I found. And the first, trying to see the good in every perhaps just to give you a couple of quick examples. And just at this point, I just want to shout out someone called Shane from Shane's Recovery and Hope, who's someone I've sort of bumped into over the last week or so via a group that we're in, and Rockin' Roberta actually giving me a shout out, which was really good of her. And he's someone who's extremely positive. Check him out, because he's extremely positive. He's honest. And speaks from the heart, and he has a good message. He's someone sort of the inspiration behind this today, if you like, because I was thinking, he asked me, about getting the ideas for these videos, and I'll just tell you quickly where today's came from, because it's about this changing of thinking. My internet went down today, for whatever reason. It was a technical reason. you know, and I started off by thinking, oh Christ, this is the end of the world. Because I do a lot of work online, you know. It's not just it's not just pleasure. There's a lot of positive stuff goes on that, you know, that I try to put online and all the rest of it. But then I changed my thinking automatically, you know, straight away, and I thought, well, there's good in this, because that means I can get out and I can go and do a hike. Because where I come up with a lot of the ideas for these videos is when I hike up into the hills around here, and I do 12 to 15 miles. You know, it's quite a long way, you know, and I've built up to that over months and months and months, just like I have with the changing of thinking. And you know, during that hike, you know, I came up with this because I thought about gratitude, because gratitude plays a massive part in this changing of thinking. And I keep a gratitude journal, as I've mentioned before, you know, and what that does, it focuses, you know, it's just not just looking for things every day because I look for 3 things every day to be grateful for. I'm grateful for so much more than that every day, obviously. But what it's allowed me to do is focus in on the things that we actually take for granted in our lives. And the internet being one, you know, one prime example, you know, it's always there. You switch it on in the morning, you know, it's there. Like electricity, you switch your lights on and off, you know, you just don't, the things you just don't think about, you expect them to be there. And so many people don't have these things, you know, in the world, you know, and we take them for granted, you know, particularly in the Western world, you know, we take these things for granted. But we shouldn't, because they just mean so much. And then it gets me thinking, and every day I think about things like, you know, flushing the toilet. You know, the guys that sort the sewage out at the other end. You know, what would, you know, people don't have that in some parts of the world. You know, it just flows. If they're standing in it, it flows. Their waste, their own excrement, and they're standing in their own waste and living in it. You know, we take for granted the fact that we can flush a chain and away it goes. You know, all the little things like that. You know, when we switch a tap on and we get a drink of water. You know, we take them for granted. The food that we eat, you know, the clothes that we wear, the fact that we got a roof over our head and a bed to sleep in, you know, all these little things. But most of all, we take for granted our health. And certainly in addiction, you know, you don't even think about it, do you? You know, it doesn't cross your mind, your health, because you're just chasing to be well all the time. You know, you're chasing to stave off withdrawal symptoms and the misery and you know, what you'll do whatever you need to do to do that, you know, and you don't think about the consequences. And in my last, you know, thoughts, actions, consequences, you don't think about the consequences to your body. You know, if you had a £500,000 car, you know, you'd look after it. You know, your body, the miracles that go on in your body, the thousands of chemical reactions, you know, that happen every second, you know, throughout the miracle of life. You know, the cells and billions of cells splitting and changing, and we just take all that for granted, you know. But our health is a miracle, you know, and we should preserve it and look after it, which I do now, and try to pass on a message to other people to do the same thing. And most of all, on top of the list, you know, we take for granted our loved ones being there when their lives and our lives could be snatched away in a second, and we need to live every second of that. So gratitude plays a massive part in this changing of thinking, change the way you look at things, things you look at change. So in every negative, there's a positive. So you look at you know, it's peeing down with rain, you know, you can't get out, but you look at the positive of it, you know, the freshness of it, and the fact it's watering all the crops, and you know, just all these little things. I know that sounds a glib thing, but there are many, many examples. You know, there is a positive in every single negative. You know, always looking on the bright side of things. You know, again, Wayne Dyer said, you know, but be open-minded about this. Wayne Dyer once said, be open to everything and attached to nothing. So it's just about going with the flow and being open-minded to everything, which is what I like about this guy Shane. You know, he's very open-minded, and you know, you have to be in recovery. You have to be open-minded. You have to listen to people and learn from people who know better than yourselves, and try everything and try every avenue. But this optimism, you know, this you know, don't violate your standards quicker than you lower them. You know, you need to be positive all the time. You know, positive all the time, and be looking for the good in every single thing and in every single part of your day, because there is good there is positivity there, you know. And eventually this thing, it'll start to work in your brain where it starts to become natural. So you actually, you know, like today, you know, I'm celebrating the fact I could get out and hike, you know, because the internet wasn't on. It meant I got out into the fresh air, worked my body, came up with an idea to share with people. You know, there's positive, positive, positive all the time until it becomes second nature. And even in the worst possible things in life, there are lessons to be learned. You know, out of pain comes learning. Today's pain, you know, is tomorrow's strength. You know, just remember that. And there you go. That's a little message for today. Anyway, be positive and carpe diem. Seize the day, seize every day. Tell the people around you that you love them. Tell them that you care about them. Hug them whenever you can. Be good to other people. Be kind to other people. Put out positivity, and I guarantee you that you will attract positivity and goodness and kindness and love back, because that's the law of physics, as Einstein said. You know, it's not woo-woo. It's not the law of attraction. All this business. You know, it is the law of physics. You will attract goodness and positivity back into your life. So carpe diem. You know, 2 years in, and I'm still learning every single day, and that's the way it should be. Stay open-minded, you know, and open to everything. Learn from people who are older, who know better, or have been through God knows what. You know, learn from them, and learn from people who are less fortunate than yourselves. You know, and try and give back every single day if you can. Much love to you all. That's enough for today. Thank you. Bye bye.